Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It's Andrew Turner, founder and host of the G&T Sessions podcast. And today we actually have an absolute legend on the show, Mr. Tom Morley. How are you, Tom?
I'm very well. I'm trying to work out which camera I'm on, but I think, there you go. That's pretty much how I feel right now. I've been up since 4 o'clock, by the way.
Oh, you see, name dropper.
Don't let that scare you. I'm completely lucid.
So why have you been up since 4 o'clock in the morning?
I've been editing a movie because, well, I won't go into it. Exactly. A dance leader I've been working with, we did an event a couple of days ago, and I thought the dancers who are all dancing at home, they're all professional dancers. I thought we'd done the dress rehearsal, and then they were going to we're doing this live, right? And then I thought they were going to get all dressed up for the final thing. So I was dead excited, and when we went to the final thing, they were pretty much how they were in rehearsal.
All right.
So I said, well, how come they're all dressed like that? And she said, well, we didn't have the budget for costumes. And so this morning I was making a movie of the last 9 months of me working with execs, scout groups, anybody.
Pretty diverse then. Pretty diverse.
And they're all dressed up. Yeah. So I thought, I'm not going to write an email back to her saying, yeah, I understand. We didn't have a big budget. I'm just going to say, well, watch this. This is the general public without any preparation, without any budget.
Right. Okay.
And look at them. It looks like we're at the circus. So
right.
I don't know if I'll send it actually, but anyway, if you have a bee in your bonnet, sometimes you think.
They've all been ferreting in that doing the kind of cleaning out the cupboards and the wardrobe. You see, and they found all these kind of costumes.
Right, exactly. I mean, I can say to a group, this song be good if we're all wearing hats, and they come back, within seconds wearing hats because they're at home. If I was at a conference with all these drums, and saying, "Did you get the email about the hat?" They'd go, "No."
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
There you go.
Example.
It's like a trigger, it's like,
yeah. And if I say, okay, shades would be good for this one, if you got a pair of shades, they come back and they're kind of, how many pairs do you want? And they go, for these good. And we're looking at that. I can send you a video, and then I get, kind of CFOs go, is this what you mean, Tom? Okay, within seconds.
Well, you kind of like unleash them, basically, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's like flicking a switch. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not buying this, theatre. Oh, you should have given us a budget. Everyone's got a pair of shades at home.
No, but I think what you tap into there is a bit like the point around, what people call about the kind of the business mask or the public mask. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you think about it in the last period of time, people have had to be very, becoming more authentic, more real.
Yeah.
I mean,
really?
It's good because, but obviously, I know nobody will be able to go on a session with you without being authentic or real. That's impossible.
Well, and you know what? They probably spent thousands in their old state going, we're going to have an authentic and real workshop. We hope you'll all turn up. And they all turn up and they see some PowerPoint about how we should all be authentic and real. And then they walk out exactly the same. So what COVID has done is just said, well, actually, we don't need all those sessions. We're going to do it right now. So people turn up in their pajama bottoms and their...
Yeah, it's no pomp and circumstance, is it?
No, and I've really seen that with client calls. They say, we're going to do this event. Can you meet with this person, that person, that person, that? And I go, yeah. And we all come on. And nobody is very businesslike. Oh, hi, Tom. Yeah, And then they talking to their daughter. Yeah, not now. And then their daughter comes in.
It's like the famous BBC thing.
Exactly. It's like that.
Daddy. Not now. I'm on the BBC News.
Exactly. Whereas that guy was really embarrassed. People aren't embarrassed anymore. Their kids come in. Do you mind if my daughter watches because she's heard about the drums? I'm fine. Yeah. We're just talking logistics. Or I was demonstrating something on a client call yesterday, And she said, well, what's it going to be like? I said, well, I'll get everyone standing up and I'll get moving. And she said, oh, all right. And I said, look, let me play you a bit of music. And as I played it to her, her dog came in. And she said, oh, my dog loves that.
Started singing.
So she started dancing with the dog, right? This is on a client call about a future event. So she said, can you send me a PDF about what it's like? I said, that's what it's like. You don't need, I don't send PDFs anymore. I just demonstrate on the call. You know, I haven't got time for that. And anyway, it's gone. That paradigm. Some people are thinking, oh, I hope it all comes back. It's gone. It's gone forever. We've really got to just acknowledge this.
You see, the thing is about you. You see, you set a new standard as well, because I have never laughed so much in my last 12 months. When your videos appear, I go, what is he up to now? What is he doing now?
Yeah,
you're either on the face act, so you've changed your sexual demeanour, and you're in a dress, or I don't know.
I made sure I cut all those face act ones. I cut them off here because it was just freaking my friends out. Seeing as a real,
okay.
You know, I know. But yeah, that face act was just. I mean, it was me being out of my comfort zone. I really had to walk my talk over the last.
I mean, I actually have used the face act, but I have used male characters, not female characters, because I didn't. You know, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I need to drink what you're drinking, and then maybe I'll have a
crossover. I mean, I just thought, okay, you know, I keep telling people, get out your comfort zone, you know, as if I've done everything. I thought, oh, well, actually, I haven't done this. I haven't put myself on screen as a woman, you know, so let's go. Let's keep going.
Come on. No rules. No rules. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. I know.
No rules, Morley. It's Tom. No rules, Morley. That's
I found out I did have some rules, but
you've broken them.
I have to break them every day.
Don't tell the wife.
Tragic having to live by my own words, you know.
So for people who are watching this episode on YouTube, you'll probably notice that obviously I could not come on an episode with Mr. Tom Morley. Actually, and this is obviously difficult for people listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, but I could not come on an episode without having a commensurate, impressive backdrop. the challenge I have with my backdrop is actually, it's a question actually. So many moons ago, I had one of my very good friends, Mr. James Dodkins, who actually was a rock guitarist. He was a very famous rock guitarist in a band when he was in his teens, and I had a competition to work out who got the proper backdrop, and it wasn't me. Today we have to admit that it isn't me again today. So this is my beautiful drum backdrop.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go.
Go on, you hit yours, I'll hit mine.
Oh yeah, sorry, I go. I'm trying to work out where it is. Yeah. All right. Oh, Tom, you're gonna blow it now.
You might not have heard that because in my I might have not turned on the sound. Could you hear that?
I can hear it, yeah.
Because Zoom normally, I think at first it characterized drumming as annoying background sound, you know, and you got this disable annoying beats. So, but then Zoom actually are really good because they really listen to customers. They added all these settings for people who are teaching piano over the net and everything, and so you get this really good sound now. But I know what it was: disabled background sound. So drumming was, you know, the primal thing that holds us all together. Now we're disabling that.
Everybody must have a drum kit behind them. Yeah. So I mean, I suppose, you know, you are still in front of a series of African drums. In front of you is what looks like a DJ deck. But you did have to admit, actually, to me earlier, that is actually one of the rooms in your house. Is that right? Yeah,
it's our living room. It was our living room. I did a deal with my wife. I said, let me use the living room for a year, and I'll learn to cook like Jamie Oliver.
Okay, and how you got on that score then?
My chopping is good. Being a drummer,
your preparation.
I can do it with two hands, but preparation is very good. Yeah, I've got to work on the delivery a little bit.
Okay. Is that where kind of like Deliveroo and all those kind of?
Well, no, that's right. No, actually, the preparation and the presentation is excellent because, as I was saying earlier, I used to go to art school, so the display is great. The kind of bit in between, the cooking, that needs a bit of work.
It's not about mission. I mean, actually, I find it actually incredible that your wife would let you have the whole living room. And obviously, given the amount of kit you've got in there, I don't think you could probably get back in again.
Well, do you know what? She didn't quite twig it at first. I just said, "Is it all right if I put a camera on the table?" Yeah, why not? And then, actually, I mean, I said, I'm thinking of doing the drum backdrop in green screen, so we can keep the sofa and everything. And then I got this gig. I thought, do you know what? I'd really like just to have the drums in the background. So I said, it's all right. And I saw the sofa in half and we put it in storage. We had to saw it in half to get it out. And I brought all the drums in from the van outside. It was just kind of intuitive. And then 3 days later, we got some vandals around here who normally sort of nick mopeds and just set them on fire in the car park. They nicked a moped, put it against our van and set it on fire. So the van blew up. But luckily, all the drums were out of it because I brought them up here. So I thought, well, thank God that.
Well, that's where you normally store your African drums. That's where you normally store your African drums.
Well, we got some here, some in the store. We had some in the van, some in the store. We had about 50 in the van, and so it made our insurance claim easier because I'd have had to price everything that was in there. It's a nightmare.
And how many drums have you in inventory? How many drums have you actually got in your collection?
Got 300. So
300.
300 of these. Some of them are bits. Oh no, some of like the small ones up there. So we got about half and half big, half small.
300. That's amazing.
I know. Do you know what? I didn't really notice it. I just kept thinking, we could do with a few more.
I know what to buy you for your birthday now. Buy some more drums.
No, buy me a warehouse.
How to keep Tom happy on a Friday? Buy him some more drums. So I suppose we are on the G&T Sessions podcast. I know we'll come back to the tech stuff, and I know because your living room is probably more technologically advanced than most living rooms in the whole of the UK.
Crazy, yeah. That doesn't look like a living room, does it?
No, it definitely doesn't. No.
I always wanted a studio like Andy Warhol's factory. And so that's why I got this in black and white. I pretend sometimes I come up here and I pretend. You
like a radio. When I don't know, is it? I don't know if Radio One's that's that in anymore, but like a DJ, where you kind of deck. It's a bit like you should be doing like this, on the deck, like.
Do you know what they said?
It's like Tom Getter, like David's long lost brother.
Yeah. I was about to do a job for Pioneer Decks when lockdown started, and they saw me. I said, "Do you want to do it remote?" And they said, "Let's have a look." And so I showed them a session online, and they said, "Yeah, do you know what? We'll wait to play those drums because I've told the guys we're going to play live." But they said, in the meantime, do you want some headphones? And they sent me these headphones. Right?
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
The DJ headphones, and one of them turns around. Look, I'll show you.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So you can do that. I'm hearing through this one, but not through that one. So I thought, I better learn to be a DJ then. And they said, "Do you want some decks?" So I said, "How much?" They said, "We'll just send them to you."
Oh, wow.
For free. So
give me that guy's number. I'll just say, I'm a friend of Tom.
Make sure you're standing in front of that.
Can I have that 100% Tom Morley discount, please? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 100% discount. I love it. But I love the headphones because I used to wear hats a lot. And then when I got the headphones, I thought,
Well, we will come back to the hats. You cannot leave this episode without showing your hats.
They're all here.
But he's found them.
Hang on, this is quite handy to have the DJ set up because I can do that.
All right, okay, yeah.
And I'll put a hat on them.
Wow,
that's one of them. I'll get the other two.
So it's like what kind of hat is that then? I know it's got feathers on the side of it. It's like peacock feathers.
It's beautiful, isn't it? It's actually a jay's We didn't kill the jay. Let me show you.
He's got drums and guns. He goes and shoots the birds. No.
Yeah, I know. It wouldn't be very green, would it?
Wow.
So, made by a woman called Isla Campbell. Isla Smiler, she calls herself.
And what's the history behind the hats then? Was it
Hold on. The hat. Well, we were just, my wife and I were at a Valentine's ball. It must have been about 3 years ago. In the Arches down by where is it? Charing Cross? No, not Charing Cross. Waterloo Station.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Do you know? Mm-hmm. And I think it's called the Vault. And so we've been invited in, and it was all dark. There was some great music, great dancing, performances. It was quite immersive. And then, so we were just having a drink in this kind of bar area. It's quite dark in the bar, and then in the corner, like this. It was like something out of Alice in Wonderland. There was this hat stand, right, with all these hats.
The Mad Hatter was in residence.
It really was. So Dawn tried one on, I tried one on, and they're quite pricey. But we said, we can't leave here without them. So, and then we said, do you know what? Maybe we'll get another one. They're all so good. And when we went back, it'd gone.
The old soul.
It was like a dream. No, the hat stand, everything. The woman, Isla, she'd gone. It was like, did we dream that? No, we got the hats. So then, anyway, we tracked her down and got some more. And she's absolutely amazing. They're all one-offs. They're all custom.
Oh, they're all one-offs, right? Okay.
Yeah, they're all one-offs. Yeah.
It's like she's like a qualified milliner, basically.
She is. She is a milliner. Isla Campbell, milliner.
Fantastic. So I wasn't sure if that was kind of like a signature, because obviously I know you got a signature look, but I wasn't sure if it was a signature look it's been a more recent signature look that you've added to.
Yeah, I mean, it began with that. I thought I was going to be wearing hats forever from now. You know, sometimes you go through phases and you think, this is me. This is the definitive me I've been waiting for.
The final version. The final
the final piece, you know,
the final cut.
The hat. I'll be buried in a hat. And then Pioneer sent me these headphones. I thought, I'm never taking them off. Hats gone. However, I have got in touch with her. I said, look, can you make me a hat that fits over here? Because they're very.
You're joking.
Yeah, so she's working on it. And another friend, Charlotte Dillon, who's a brilliant mask maker. She's going to make me a kind of Mohican that actually fits on the headphones.
Oh wow!
Feathers and everything. And I met her to talk about it in the park. We went for a socially distanced walk, and I had this job coming up, which I showed you a video earlier of gymnasts and contortionists.
Yeah,
I've got this job coming up. They want it. They don't want to participate. It's quite unusual. 95% of my work is, let's get up and move. They said they just want to watch you lot dancing for 20 minutes. So I thought...
What you mean the audience doesn't actually get themselves involved?
They wanted to be off screen. It's a really unusual gig for me. So I thought, well, better entertain them. So I've got a contortionist. I've got a parkour guy who's kind of bouncing off the walls in his kitchen. I mean, but the lovely thing is, I introduced it. Actually, they thought they were going to be watching the history of Brexit on PowerPoint. It was a real thing, right? So
that sounds riveting. Yeah.
I know. So 20 minutes, you see them, they're all sitting there like this. Oh, God. And then
looking at the door.
But they have to be there on screen. And then I made this. I'll send this to you. I made this kind of disruption of this PowerPoint where some of my dancers kind of start flicking in with this interference on the screen. And then it just comes to me. And I go, do you know what? The history of Brexit may have to wait. Do you fancy seeing what it's like putting a show together called the Rockstar Activator? And they're all sort of nodding. Yeah, great.
Please.
And then, and then I say, all right, so let's go and I've got my dancers ready. Let's just go and have a look. And then they're all at home, but they're all just watering the plants or stuff. And I go, you lot, did you not get the email? And they're all just going like this. So then,
that sequence, which I know, I think you put some stuff out about that, but
yeah,
it reminded me of Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, our contortionist is kind of worthy of Cirque du Soleil. Claudia, she's amazing. So, and I won't give any trade secrets away because I know this is just between you and me, but all those people are available if you want to hire them. But please don't do that because it'll be in competition to me and my exclusive offers to corporate events. So, yeah.
Well, when this episode gets published, then we're actually going to do a little bit of razzmatazz anyway. So we've been working on that just to let you know, the audience that's listening to this episode. So Tom has already hatched a plan that I have no idea what it's going to be like. So please bear with us. Anyway, so thank you for coming on the G&T Sessions podcast. And I suppose the question that you've already answered actually was why you get up early in the morning, was she editing a very interesting video. But I suppose one of the things that
was the question, what gets me out of bed in the morning?
Well, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, I suppose that is still a relevant question to you, isn't it? What is the inspiration and the motivation to get out of bed, given what you've been through in your journey so far? Because we will come to the journey, but it's been. Yeah, I mean, if you could share that with the audience, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, it's not. I don't get out of bed to make videos, although that's the sort of practical side of it. I get out of bed to kind of. To really influence how things are going, because things kind of keep going wrong. I mean, I tell you, actually, is my gran who kind of inspired this, because she told me about the war and the Blitz. She was in London, and when the bombs were dropping, every night they would go down into the underground, into the shelters, but hers was the underground. So everyone would get down there with their bedding and whatever they could grab, and they'd try and sleep, but the adults could sleep because they were tired, but the kids couldn't sleep. They were anxious,
Yes, nervous and scared, yeah.
So they used to sing. Now, was it just the singers? No. Was it people who'd been to singing workshops? No. It was just people,
everyone,
normal people singing. And then if there were some singers there, excuse me, they would harmonise. So because they knew how to. So consequently, the kids could sleep. It kind of bonded the adults, but
it's kind of, so what he says, it soothed the kids, so they actually went off to sleep and got some rest.
Yeah, but the important thing was there was a crisis, and they fixed it right there, right then. They didn't say, we're not qualified to fix it. We haven't done enough work yet. We've got to go and get an expert. They just said, let's fix it. So what gets me out of bed in the morning is that we are in a similar crisis. It's worse. We've got a climate change crisis. We've got kind of COVID. We've got all sorts of crises going on.
Yeah.
So what gets me out of bed is to kind of add some energy to going in the right direction, to
get some momentum in the right way.
Get some momentum, and to bring people together, because what got those people singing the underground, probably because it's about children, it's really in their hearts. We have to sort this out. It wasn't in their head. Let's make a spreadsheet about how to get the children. It's not that.
Let's do a project plan. Yeah.
Let's form a committee. Meanwhile, the kids are crying. Let's sing now. So what gets me out of bed is I want to keep getting that message out. Let's sing now. If you can harmonise, great. If you can't, just be there. Or if you're really tone deaf, just hug some of the kids as they're going to sleep. And because I'm sure our children, we don't have any children, but the world's children are feeling the anxiety of climate change, whether they know the details or not. there'll be a kind of global unease, and we've got to start singing.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's interesting. I was literally talking to the CEO of a company the other day, and he's got a number of kids at different ages, yeah, and he's saying that he's observed that because there's no reference point, they don't really know what's going on, and depending how old they are, and it's this thing about how do you help them through it. So how do you get some normality, and how do you get some routine, and how do you do things that make them smile and make them happy? And singing. Let's face it, music is a leveler, isn't it? Singing is a leveler. Everybody usually can do it at different levels of proficiency.
Yeah, and we can all dance. The singing is a metaphor. It's real in that I do teach groups to sing, but it's when I say we've all got to start singing, what I mean is we've all got to start fixing the crisis with whatever we've got right now, just like my gran and friends did.
Which is actually an interesting point you said, because that's a great story to link it to from that, the Blitz to here today.
I know you could imagine I'd prepared that, couldn't you?
Well, no, not really, because I think you're very connected on what you would say. You're very.
I did prepare it to sound ad hoc, but thanks.
Even better. No, but what I would say is that what you raise is the point around being human.
Yeah.
So with all this technology, with all these drum kits we've got behind us, with all these synthesizers, everything, what you're saying is that what you're doing is getting people to connect at a human level and bond and support each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And that from there, you see, I don't have all the political solutions, but I know, and I know this within organizations, and in any organization, if I can help, and it sounds really corny, but if I can help people get out of their heads where they think, we'll have a spreadsheet solution by next week, into their hearts. I know it sounds dead hippie, but it's, just bear with me for a minute, into their sort of emotional intelligence rather than their intellectual intelligence. That's really what I'm saying. So, and then emotionally, it's much easier to respond to the situation, get the right decisions, because we trigger our intuition. We get different chemicals in our bodies, which are to do with taking right action in a way.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. Really, you could say, because I've only just realised this, that I'm a kind of energy provider, and you switch energy providers in this country. You don't do it all over the world, but the UK is particularly keen on getting the best price for the best switch energy providers. So what I'm doing is I'm switching energy providers in people from the TV news to their own kind of heartbeat and their own friends who they can connect with on Zoom by moving. It's not let's get on Zoom and have a moan. It's let's get on Zoom and move. Oh, I'm feeling better, and the kids are joining in, and the dog always dances with me whenever I dance. So it's getting them into that state, and there my work is over. It's
you're triggering them. You're getting them into flow. You're triggering them.
I'm getting them into flow, yeah. And everybody wants to be in flow. It's when everything is easy. It's not, the tasks become less of a task. You think, I'm really enjoying applying my expertise to this thing, So,
well, you see, I think this is the thing about it. See, what you're talking about there is your gifts, your superpowers, yeah. And because you're at a stage in your journey where you'll just say it as it is, yeah, which is refreshing, very authentic, yeah. No, it is. But the thing is also, I think the other thing I was just thinking when you were talking was actually what came into my head, was actually the human alchemist, or it'd be like I know you call yourself the Rockstar Activist, I think.
Rockstar Activator.
Activator, sorry, Rockstar Activator. But the thing is then was about the human dimension, but also then how the alchemist being kind of like linking these things together and making a new way of a new potion, a new energy potion.
Exactly. Yeah. That's also a good metaphor. But it's somehow I'm flicking that switch in people. You know, it could be, I call it the rock star. It was Jamil Qureshi who said, he saw me come off stage, and I was calling myself the rhythmic ringmaster.
Okay.
And he said, you're not the rhythmic, he said, you're a rock star activator. I said, oh, sounds a bit grandiose.
Yeah, because you're activating the rock star in everybody. Yeah.
In everybody. I thought at first, he was calling me a rock star, and I was going, yeah, not really. I'm 66 years old. I should be lying down. And but he said, no, I've seen you a number of times. You just activate the rock star in other people. So I could take that because that is exactly, you called it the alchemist. You know, it's exactly turning lead into gold. It's turning kind of resentful, low-level stress energy, which is what most people have at work, into flow. So we don't want to live in that kind of low level. We just want to be in flow and go, actually, I will do that PDF because I want to. You know, I'm interested rather than I have to do it. Why are you doing this?
I've just realised the relevance of that to my. I mean, I was talking about my little story on because I went to. I think you know a little bit about this, but I went to my first concert in 1980, and in Leeds, which I know is somewhere that's dear to your heart as well. Yeah. And I went into the big concert hall, and I got in the queue. I thought, what's this queue for? And then 45 minutes later, you go, oh, have you got £9.99 or whatever it was, or £4.99? Why? What am I buying? He says, oh, you're buying the tour T-shirt. So there's this massive queue there, and I've been just while the support band's on, and it was to watch Rush, the Canadian rock band. And I was so short. I'm a bit taller now, but I actually had to sit on my friend's shoulders. But then the thing is about rock stars, yeah. So that was my little. Oh, here we go. But that was my little entry bit of Canadian rock. But actually, my two, obviously apart from yourself, yeah, is my two rock star kind of heroes are one's actually just recently passed away. So I don't know if you probably know EVH.
No.
Eddie Van Halen.
Oh yeah.
And David Lee Roth. So from a singing point of view, David Lee Roth was my kind of. Obviously, I'm not going to say there's any better drummer than you. Yeah, but obviously my guitar Rockstar Activator was EVH, and DLR was Diamond Dave was my best my singer par excellence.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you who is a hero of mine for the music business is John Sebastian from the Loving Spoonful, who I saw when I was 15. How old were you when that happened?
14.
When I was 15, I was at the Isle of Wight Festival 1970. See Jimi Hendrix and Joni Mitchell.
Oh, wow.
Everyone was there. But my favorite person afterwards was John Sebastian, and it's because everything I learned as a facilitator I learned from him when I was 15, because he worked the audience in a way that was just magical. I mean, he was Rockstar Activator, thinking about it,
right?
Because you'd get these people coming on, and festivals were quite new then. They wouldn't really know how to deal with a crowd. Then normally they'd be in halls, So they were saying to the audience, "We want you to sing along with a chorus," and then
they were trying to like coax them to sing along.
Yeah. I mean, John Sebastian did it different, but the previous groups had come on and gone, "All right, everybody, louder! I can't hear you, Isle of Wight." So we go, "All right, well, we'll sing a bit louder then." So we'd all sing to the top of our lungs, "I can't hear you." And after a while, we just thought, listen, if you can't hear us,
it's like an audience revolt.
Because there's thousands of us singing our lungs out, to your direction. And then, so John Sebastian came on, and he's just going, "Okay, you can sing along with the chorus if you want." And he's Nashville Cats. And then he leaned away from the mic. "Cleans country water, Nashville Cat, they once meant you." And so he kind of... He
pulled people in, didn't he, I presume?
He coaxed us. We thought, if we want to hear that chorus, we're going to sing it ourselves. And he was really cheeky with it. And I thought, yeah, that is the way. And he spoke to us as if we were in his front room. he didn't say, "Okay, you people at the back, get up and dance." It's just, just dance if you want.
But how many people would be there? How many people would be at Isle of Wight?
Do you know what? I don't know. It's thousands. Massive.
Ten. It's a bit like, was it a bit like a Nebworth? A bit like
yeah. Well, Woodstock had just happened, so it was like Woodstock that happened in '69. So it was, so they were referring. Everyone had Woodstock as a kind of reference in their mind. It wasn't as big as Woodstock, but you know what? There wasn't any food.
You had to take your own corned beef sandwiches, did you?
Yeah, it really was. It's real early days of festivals, and we were expecting even just a burger thing or something, but there was nothing. We all had to go with our shopping bags, and if we wanted to cook, we had to build a bonfire, and or we could walk. We all had to individually. We'd say, "Well, the Who's on? Yeah, but I'm hungry. I've got to go into the village." There's this little village, right? So
what you're saying, Tom, is the festival goers of today, they just don't know the born. They get catered for,
You get
all on tap.
Yeah, there was in the village shop. There's this little old lady, right, kind of typical, like out some 50s movie, and we say, "Can I have some Wonder Loaf and some butter?" And she go, "Yeah, you're the 15th person to come in today." She said, "There's something happening around here." So she was the only provider.
We've only got 1.5 left. I'll have to ring Cyril. Cyril, bring some more stock down from the bar.
Yeah, so we're just toasting it on sticks on the fire, and cooking up some baked beans. I mean, I'm glad I had that experience, because when I went to festivals later, I thought, "Oh, this is just like going to Disneyland."
Like going to the Ritz.
Yeah, it's just wow.
So for people who are listening to this episode, and God forbid that they don't know who Tom Morley is, could you just give us a little journey through some of the things that you have been involved in? Because I'll be honest with you, I was talking to my sister the other day, and Rachel, and I said that I was going to be meeting you and having an episode with you. And she said, the real Tom Morley? I said, yeah.
Yeah.
She goes, it can't be. It's impossible. I said, no, it's true. It's true. So just recording this episode for my sister Rachel is good enough for me. So.
Yeah.
Audience of one.
So maybe I'll go backwards. So now I'm the Rockstar Activator. I was a rhythmic ring. I was going to be I'll go forwards. I was good at art as a kid. I was always going to be an artist, graphic designer. We were poor. My mum saw, maybe he can make some money, because, there's money in the arts. Yeah, exactly. She didn't want me to be an artist. She wanted me to be a designer. Anyway, she died when I was 13, so I could do what I want.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. I'm over it. So, I mean, I loved her and everything, but in a way it kind of set me free. So, but anyway, I did go to art school. I wanted to be true to her memory and, do what she wanted. And then about halfway through the graphic design course, my tutors said to me, they said, "We can't teach you anything." They said, "If you want to be a graphic designer, just put your own thing together. But why don't you do fine art? You'll have a much better life. You can be a graphic designer now if you want." I mean, I'm not saying this to show off, but it's because my mum's training was better than any art school thing. She'd got me prepared well. So I went to art school to do fine art. Met Green, singer in Scritti Politti. We got on straight away. We kind of put our house together. We grew up fast. All sorts of parties. And then we said, do you know what? Because we got quite political, left wing, let's smash the state,
Right.
Anyway,
but what year would that be? That would be in the kind of that would be in what year? That would be in what year though?
76.
So it was like when was that Labour? Labour were in there, was it?
Oh, Thatcher seemed to be in forever. I think.
Oh, sorry, it was Thatcher's. Yeah, sorry, it was Conservatives.
We just could not believe she just kept getting it. I mean,
she led a charmed life. Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I'm. I'm on the fence politically, as you'll all know. If anyone's listening in thinking I'll employ this guy, I don't have any political views at all. They're aligned with yours.
Very neutral.
Yeah, very neutral. But anyway, Thatcher was in. So
beep beep.
So yeah, we're very left wing. So we were, if you think in terms of Trafalgar Square as a kind of, if the southern part of Trafalgar Square is Labour and the top up by the National Gallery is Conservative, I was in Inverness, as far as. No, it's the other way around, actually. If Labour's the gallery...
I'm going to say, yeah, you were far north of the Fine Art Gallery.
Very, very far left. So we looked at all the work we were doing, and we're thinking, we used these words at the time, it's great. We're saying, well, all this artwork we're doing, that's just supporting the bourgeoisie, because they're putting it on. And they're saying, I can afford it. I'm so spiritual. I know the right things to say. Look at the light. Look at the it's got a diagonal in it. That kind of means action, even though it's a still painting. So they knew all this stuff, and we thought we don't want to do that.
They read the inner meaning into your fine art.
Yeah. So and also you can't be sure of the message you're giving out as an artist. I'm sorry to say this, fine artists who are listening, but against that we had the Clash who were coming in and saying, right, I want to write.
Yeah. You don't. It's calling. Yeah.
How do I interpret that? You just think, oh, they're saying it. They're saying it.
So, it's pretty clear what they want to do. Yeah.
I wonder if they mean.
Yeah, maybe there's an inner message inside it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. What does that mean exactly? So,
Joe Strummer was not making it as obvious as he.
So we thought, well, we'll form a band then. Green could already play the guitar. I couldn't play the drums, but he'd heard me playing bongos at a couple of parties. So he said, you're going to be the drummer, I'll be the guitarist. And we got Neil, his mate up from Leeds, to be the bass player. So
that was a trio.
That was a trio. And we used our living room to rehearse in our rented house. And we said, it's so great, the neighbours can't hear us. These houses work really well. And then we'd been doing this for about a month, right? And then one night there's a knock on the door. We'd come back from the pub. We said, well, nobody can hear us. Let's go through those songs again. So a knock on the door, and the neighbours.
The guy with the rolling pin. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, it should have been the woman with the rolling pin, because we didn't know. We'd been driving her nuts for a month, and her son had come to visit. And he said, you people. He was ready to punch us. He was really, really mad.
You wild students.
Yeah, and she was standing in the background going, I don't say anything. Oh, well, they're young. I don't say anything. So anyway, we had to change our policy for rehearsing. But so, and then
it's just you blown up all those speakers. You see, you were over 10 on the volume.
We were up to 11.
Oh, so right.
So we moved to London. Some previous students, friends of ours who were a year above us, had opened up a squat in Camden Town, and they said there's a house going next door to us. So they didn't mind. They liked our music, so they said, come and live next to us. So we moved there. And actually, it's funny, little old ladies are appearing quite a lot in this podcast, because we broke in.
Quick, send for the little old lady sketch.
we changed the locks as soon as she left, because we knew other people wanted this squat. So as soon as she was out, I climbed through the back window, changed the locks. I had them all ready. We were very organised, as the left always are.
Organised squatters.
Yeah, organised squatters. Changed the locks, and then she came back. She'd left a chair. She came back in the taxi. She'd left her favourite chair, and she was really mad And she said, right, you're like out, or I'm going to call the council. So we had to leave for 2 days until our tenancy was up.
Right.
We just had to stay eagle-eyed on this house because so other people didn't get it.
I thought you were going to say that you had to leave because the police were coming, but it was the council.
Okay. Yeah, there's another time the police did come because we took down a wall downstairs, so we could kind of use that as a rehearsal space, and we put all the bricks and all the rubble and everything in a skip opposite, because in those days skips, they weren't covered, right? And so we thought, great, what an amazing space we've created, and we didn't have to pay for it. Next day, there's a knock on the door, right? It's the police. They say, have you been doing a bit of building work? I was just about to say, no, not ours, officer. And I saw these wheelbarrow tracks right from our house to the skip across the road. And they were determined to...
Please destroy the evidence next time.
Yeah, I know. It was so stupid. And they wanted a ringleader. Who's the ringleader? Was this your idea? And it was actually my idea, but I was about to say yes. And the others, because we were really into collective living, they said no. And then Green appeared and his girlfriend Lynn, and we all decided to do it together. If you're going to arrest anyone, you've
got to take the whole band with you.
Yeah, you got to,
and the groupies.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we had an entourage of about 15 people, who were around at the time. So they said, oh, God, we don't have the paperwork. And they said, let's go and have a word with the builders. And the builders, we had to give them 20 quid. And then it sounds like something from the Sweeney, doesn't it? Can you imagine?
We're going to have Dennis Waterman on this episode next. Dennis, are you there, Dennis? Dennis, come down.
Exactly. So the police brokered the deal, thinking about it. I'm not sure if that's legal. Anyway, so we gave these guys some money and they didn't ask us to take it all out again.
So you see, when people...
They were laughing, these guys.
The thing is, when people see, when you're growing up and you see all these things about, pop stars and pop bands and rock bands, stuff like that, there is a kind of a glamorous image that's portrayed. But obviously that's been just completely shattered by your last few minutes.
I tell you,
I mean, I'm sure there was some more glamorous times, but obviously, changing locks on a squat in Camden Town was obviously not one of the highlights.
Yeah, I'm not really. The story's not complete. Although, talking about the glamour of that street, I remember, because we got on the radio fairly fast. We decided to make our own records. We went and played our songs to Rough Trade, and they said, yeah, maybe. And then they said, no, you're not for us.
Was that? I was going to ask you. Was that all? So were you going down? Is it Denmark Street? Like Minnetonka Court Road? Was it all down there? Timpan Alley, I think you know.
Nah, I mean Denmark Street was still kind of rock and roll.
Right.
We were punk, So Rough Trade interested us because of their ethic, and that really we just thought we'd get signed to Rough Trade. And then they didn't want to sign us. So, and we'd been on the radio. John Peel had played us. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the reason he played, this was unbelievable, right? We had 2 acetates kind of cut on 2 decks like this by this guy, Porky Prime cut. And his studio was near the BBC down in place. So,
right.
This was before we'd made any records at all. And so we had our acetates, which we had to find a pressing plant to make the records. So we said, we've got 2. Why do we need 2? We just keep 1. Because he did 2 cuts, and he said, you might as well take this. So
you had like 2 copies of the album, basically, on the tracks?
No, our first single, our first kind of EP, actually.
Okay. Oh,
wow. So we hadn't released anything. So we said, right, we'll find a pressing plant, go and get this made into a record. Why don't we just drop this in at the BBC, which was across the road, right? Mm-hmm. So, and in old days...
Special delivery.
Yeah, it wasn't this kind of funky foyer and everything. It was just, an old guy sitting with a hat on. A little old man this time, not a little old lady. Looking like a porter.
It wasn't like the One Show, with all the flashing lights.
No way. No, it's just like a little kind of alcove.
Like a little post box.
Yeah, that little post box. And we said, can you give this to John Peel, please? And he said, all right. And, he wrote. And then,
in biro on it, yeah.
Yeah, really. So that night we had this tiny little transistor radio. We went to the pub and we were listening at 10 o'clock, I think, when he came on. And he said, yeah, tonight I'm going to play The Fool, I'm going to play Aswad and Scritti Politti. And he said, what?
Wow.
And then he played our song and he said, okay, guys, if you're listening, come in and do a session for us. So our jaws were just on the pub table. I mean,
that was the same day you'd actually just dropped it into the post.
Yeah, we just dropped it in that day. Not only did he play it, but he invited in to do a peel session. So,
wow.
So, what I was saying about Carroll Street. After that, there was an old factory at the end of Carroll Street, and someone scratched Scritti Politti with a knife on the door of the factory. And
he was obviously for quite a while. Cause it's obviously not just one letter. It's quite a few letters.
That is.
Oh, you make sure you spell it right. Oh shit, I've done it. I've misspelled it. I better do it again.
But that is a day my life changed. I thought, crikey, we've had this dream, we've done this, we've done that, and someone we don't know anything about has just scratched our name on a wall. And then kind of weeks later, I remember going through I think it was Virgin on Oxford Street, and it had in records and singles it had you flick through the rack.
Yeah, exactly. They're all laid out. Yeah.
Steely Dan, Scritti Politti. What? There's a lot.
Well, they actually created a kind of a divider that says Scritti Politti.
Yeah, done in proper typeface, between all these other S's. And
was it spelt right? Was it that guy on the wall?
I mean, these things they happen in your life, and you cannot believe it, And Green used to say, yeah, it's another step to
It's a sign. It's a sign, basically, isn't it?
It's a sign, yeah, to kind of something you can't go back from. When that has happened, you can't think, do you know what? I think I'll go back to being an artist. It's easier, you see yourself appear in the world, and in those days, before blogs and self-publishing and everything, if you wanted to see yourself in black and white, like an Andy Warhol poster, you couldn't do it on a computer or anything.
No.
A music paper could say to their art department, can you just, rather than have it, proper photo, can you make it just black and white so they look like Lou Reed's Transformer cover?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were. I remember it was Sounds who did it first. I saw us in that kind of aspect, in that artwork aspect of just black and white. I thought, it's another thing.
I used to get NME. NME.
Yeah.
Because that was one of the kind of music. It's kind of the music physical paper that people could buy to understand what's going on in the music industry.
And the NME was the sort of pinnacle, we do Sounds, Record Mirror, Melody Maker. We're on the cover of the NME. I mean, that is like, and for someone who's patriotic, that would be like being knighted by the Queen on your birthday. It's like with no one else around. So there we were on the cover. It's another thing, photographed by Penny Reel, who's a really good photographer. And these things, they happen. Like I was saying, you think, well, I'm not going back from here. I'm not going back. We're on our way. So,
because you see that what if you think about how you had to go through that process and go through that experience. I mean, even the internet didn't exist then. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, there was no technology around. It was just you literally had to hand deliver your first record to the BBC. Yeah. I mean, it's. I mean, you can compare that to like an Apple. Like this thing here. I've got here this Apple iPod.
Yeah.
About 15 years ago. That was a revolution. Yeah.
That was like you couldn't.
And then you got this thing, which is obviously revolution. So
I know. I found the other day, this was when I could drive. I was at a service station. I thought, I'll come out without my wallet. And I thought, I've just filled the freaking car up. What can I do? And then I thought, oh, maybe I can use my phone. And then I sort of downloaded the wallet thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, how will it know my credit card number? And it somehow, because I'd used it on the phone.
Oh, you got like a virtual card?
Yeah, it said, do you want to use this? Yeah, I want to use that. So I set it up. And I said to the guy, I'm going to pay with my phone. It's like, I felt like I'd stepped into a sci-fi movie. And then I just double-clicked and he went, done. He said, thanks, mate. God, yeah. I mean, can you imagine? You know, we didn't have a phone in our house when I was growing up. We used to go to my grand's house to use the phone. I never thought I'd be taking that phone to a petrol station and having someone say, thank you very much. It's just...
Yeah, you had to go and lie down because you said, it worked. I'm not going to get arrested for putting illegal petrol in my car.
I turned the ignition. I thought it's not going to work, you know. And then, yeah, it worked. It worked. We got away. It was like being in Ocean's 11 or something. Just paid on my phone. Let's get out of here. Get out of it before the police find out.
So I mean, you know, one of the things you were talking about there was, I mean, obviously some of the, you know, the highs of that time. I mean, in terms of, you know, peaks and valleys, as I would call it. Obviously, everybody goes through their journey in different ways. Any valleys you would like to share with the audience around what you've experienced? Obviously, you know.
Yeah, I remember once I dropped a drumstick, and I did have a nervous breakdown when everything went a bit haywire.
Right.
Green decided to, you know, he didn't really go. So, I mean, for us in the band and the entourage, it was like he'd gone solo. And I spoke to Bob Last years later, his manager, and he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Tom." He said, "It's my job to break bands up and just kind of take the singer and surround them with session musicians, because," he said, "as a manager, it's easier to control." And he said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, mate. Can I buy you a drink?" I said, "What are you talking about? Can you buy me? You completely destroyed my life, you know." Anyway, I accepted the drink. But I did have a breakdown, and to the point where, I mean, this is the short version, because I became a songwriter. I got a deal with Zara Jazz, Virgin, through Madness. I got to know Madness very well.
Fantastic. Madness, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that went well.
Yeah.
But then I got so kind of stressed out. It was all too fast. So, and it's an option you always have in the music business. If you want to slow down, just have a breakdown. It's available. So I thought I'll tick that box. But I ticked it a bit too hard, and I couldn't listen to music anymore. Couldn't write anything. I couldn't be with musicians. I thought everything I'd done was rubbish.
You want to walk away from it all?
Well, I didn't really want to, but my whole system shut down to the point where I just I couldn't even get into a lift if they were playing music, an elevator if you're listening in America. So I got quite fit because I'd have to keep taking the stairs. So there was a silver lining. But I ended up
sometimes people, I don't know if you're like you're like a comedian. You are. It's like it's like this kind of this understated British wit.
Well, I ended up in a retreat in France because it was quiet. It was in the Dordogne. It's just a rustling of trees out of time, which is great. And I was in a Native American sweat lodge with about 15 other people. I'd never done any kind of workshop before. I was a Marxist, right? And
you're in a Native American sweat lodge?
Yeah, and I didn't...
In the middle of France?
I thought I'd signed up for a kind of peaceful retreat. And but when I looked at the small print, it was called an Enlightenment Intensive. So that they took us... I wasn't interested in enlightenment. So they... I'd smash the state, kind of, take over the means of production. And so, anyway, I ended up there, Native American sweat lodge, 6 o'clock in the morning. And when we came out, we're all naked, right? And there's a fire where there'd been heating up the stones to pour water on. And
it's because you got some dreadlocks, you see. You could cover yourself up a little bit.
I'm sure I looked the part. And they said to everybody, the organizer said, go over to the chateau, right? It's in this big castle grounds. Go to the chateau and, for breakfast. You've earned it. So, and there was a drum outside. There's like one of these djembe. I'd never played one before. I'd gone to get away from music. And I thought, what the hell? And I just started playing it. Closed my eyes and I thought, let's see. It's what I used to do at student parties. So I got on with it quite well, and I was sort of playing this groove. I was going, oh yeah, it's got these two sounds. Da, da, da. So I was playing for about 10 minutes, naked, right? And then when I opened my eyes, I was surrounded by naked dancing people. Nobody had gone to breakfast, and they said,
"Oh, dancing, right? Okay, fantastic."
They were dancing around me. So I thought, oh, there's something in this kind of drumming business. It needn't have anything to do with A&R people or dropping records off at the BBC or, seeing if pluggers liked it or Christmas release dates clashing with Stevie Wonder. It was all gone. It was just me. I didn't even have any clothes on, nor did anybody else. Me, the groove, and spirit, really. I mean, my Marxism faded away.
just to be clear for the audience, if you're not watching on YouTube, we are fully clothed on this episode.
Well, we are.
When part 2 comes out, you never know.
That's right, Andrew. We haven't got to the end of the story yet. So when I got back to London, I just bought. I bought one drum, and then I bought some more drums, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to do this in the corporate world. But I'm going to do it with voice. I'm going to get people singing. I'd just be me, a drum, 200 people singing in harmony, because I learned African harmony also as a result of that experience in the Dordogne. And people would keep saying, people keep talking about that drumming session. When are you coming back with the drums? And I go, what are you talking about, drums? We were singing. Yeah, everyone's raving about the drum session. So this went on for about a year, right?
I've just thought of a new strapline for you: the naked bongo.
The naked bongo, man. Well, I always put.
I'm just about to buy the domain name so we can actually have a website.
I'll tell Jamil, I'm not the Rockstar Activator anymore. I'm the naked
bongo man.
I'll see what my man.
Can you imagine if you reinitiated that on Zoom? I think that'd be interesting.
Well, do you know what? I'm thinking about it because I won't go into that. But anyway,
that's the VIP. Those are the VIP Zoom room.
Exactly. Well, I have been invited to do corporate things where they set up a teepee encampment, and
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they want to get way out there. So I always put the naked option in the PDF, but nobody's ticked the box yet. But if they
make sure you bring the loincloth. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, we could do it on Zoom actually. Just everyone could be facing the other way. We have some screen thing.
As long as you move, As long as you move. Bring your skin. So
yeah. Can you imagine the comments? That's obviously Joe from account who spotlight.
Oh dear.
Yeah, we better move away from that.
Yeah.
Although it is forming in my mind.
Keep it clean. Keep it clean. What is it? It's like Peter Kenny, bit of blue. So you're talking about So what you're saying is it that this kind of situation with the North American, intense experience that kind of reinvigorated your musical vibe.
Yeah, so I returned to the groove, and the groove returned to me. We met kind of halfway, and the thing is, I went from zero to hero on that course because I turned up sort of depressed, having a breakdown, thinking I just want to get away from everything. And I ended up in the middle of everything, which, as my wife will tell you, that often happens.
There's a pattern forming here, Tom.
We went on.
Send for the naked bongo man. Where is he?
We went on holiday to India, right, to this yoga retreat, and she said, "Don't do that thing you do of when you arrive somewhere saying, oh, let's get everybody together and, connect everybody. So we're sitting at dinner, every time, lunch, breakfast, with me pretty much with blinkers on, just not looking around. So
don't look up from the plate.
No eye contact.
Eyes on the plate.
No chatting to anybody. Everyone did look a bit lonely, to be honest, because it's an Ayurvedic thing and they're all there to sort of be disciplined. So after 3 days at lunch, I remember this, the manager of the place came up to me and said to us both, said, Tom, we've been looking you up on the internet. We've seen team building. It's the chef's birthday today. We've sent the receptionist to the market to buy you a drum. Would you mind just doing a kind of happy birthday session for him? So it turned into this big workshop for everybody. And my wife was going, what is it with you?
We can't go anywhere. So they're getting all the pots and pans out of the kitchen.
Yeah, absolutely. The same,
all the ladles. Forget the drumsticks, it's the ladles. Use the ladles for the hi-hats.
That's actually where it happened, because on the way back, she had to come back for work. And I went to visit a couple of friends in Chennai who were running the chapel, the cathedral. They married us in London, but then they moved back to Chennai. So I dropped him on them. They said, Tom, would you do a workshop for us, for the kids, right? So I said, all right. And so I said, wait, we haven't got any drums, so just bring pots and pans and stuff. So we had this amazing time. She wrote to me about 2 weeks later and she said, everybody, when you first arrived in Chennai, everybody loved you, but now they all hate you because all the women just being driven mad by their kids just playing their pots and pans. It was... Anyway, we kind of smoothed it out. I sent them some lessons and said, don't do it all the time. But there's something about
one thing I was going to say, I mean, just talking to you now about this stuff is it's a bit like like you talk about your artistic history and your artistic origins. It's a bit like you there's this thing where you get this balance where some people are very analytical and some people are very creative. It sounds like it's a bit like you do a lot of things around how do you unleash that creativity, which has sometimes been dormant in people. And it needs to be kind of brought out of themselves because everybody's got that creative side to them. Those kind of that side of it, but maybe it's been suppressed by society, by how they've been brought up. And I think it's great to see, people like letting the guard down and just being human.
Yeah, and it gets suppressed often quite early by not in a malicious way at all, but you might get a music teacher at school who wants to win a particular award, a prize. It can get quite competitive between schools. And so they start kind of filtering the choir. They say, will you mime? Will you mime? Will you mime?
Right. Yeah. So it's kind of a selection piece where they
So for them, it's just like, we'll win the prize. The whole school will be proud. But for the individual kids who get told to mime, that just affects them for the rest of their lives. So I've met hundreds, thousands of people who were shut down in a way that, like I say, it's not malicious from the teachers. They have their own targets that, they good people.
But basically what you're saying is it's a bit like treated like exams. You must get an A, you must get an A, you must do all your homework, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, or that
scorecard thing.
Yeah, that whole scorecard, competitive way, you got to start. So I'm sure everybody has this experience in this country. There'll be, John Smith who was good at art. Oh, he was the one who was good at art. There'll be one person.
Like an outlier.
Yeah. Might be two, yeah. But nobody says, unless they went to a Montessori school or something, we were all in our different levels in the art class.
So you need to coach me now. You need to look at this psychological profile of me then. So when I got picked to be the nativity play,
yeah, go on.
And I was given the role of the back of the donkey. So I don't know what that says for my future.
Well, did you go on to be an actor?
Well, I don't know if you call podcasts and YouTube and being acting, but maybe that's in the future.
Yeah, well,
Hollywood. If you want to call me. Yeah. Call me. Yeah.
I can help you through it. But the thing is, Anybody who's not watching, people are this. I'll describe it. People think they're this far from their creativity. So I've got about a space of 4 inches.
Few inches, yeah.
I would say 4. I'll come closer, then you can see. I know my hand looks quite small to you. So about 4 inches.
That's 8 inches then. Boom, boom.
Yeah, so we'll move on fast. So it's about 4 inches away. So people think they're that far away from their creativity, which is as far as I can stretch my thumb and my forefinger. Now I'm saying where they really are, which is, I'll go metric, it's about a centimetre between now my thumb and my forefinger. And this is what I do. Now I've put them together. And so it's people think I'm a magician. It's because they think there's this big distance. I know there's only a small distance. And I know that because it's dying for that connection to happen. That's what happened in the Dordogne. People were dying to dance. They didn't. They didn't say, I'm not sure if that's an authentic African rhythm, actually, because I'd never played the drum before. But all they needed was a beat. All people need is a tiny bit of permission, a tiny bit of encouragement. And they're off. And they're off because it's flicked a switch in their system that is dying to be flicked. That they just can't do it on their own, nor can their HR department do it. And actually, I've found anyone who's tried to copy my work in-house, it doesn't work because they need permission from someone outside of their workplace. It doesn't matter if they copy exactly what I do. They go.
And just to ask you a question. So, with the people that you know, organisations and teams that you're working with, are you finding that? Because it must be for small, medium, and very large companies. You know, it applies to all because it's just people. They've all got the similar kind of hang-ups and similar kind of you've got whether they're whether it's a big PLC or it's a small startup, then they all have things about how you unleash their creativity, how you unleash how you make their fingers move.
Exactly, and people say, well, you know, we're lawyers, don't you? They're rather formal. I tell them the hardest job I ever did in 20 years was with MTV. I talked about Scritti Politti first, established my credentials. They were all too cool for school. They really didn't want to kind of blow it in front of their colleagues. It was only when the CEO kind of jumped on the biggest drum that they joined in. And then, of course, they had a ball. But a bunch of the lawyers... they
were too scared of what everybody else thought about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but lawyers, bankers. I've worked with French bankers in Paris, who are notoriously hard. Straight away in there, they just want to do it.
Was that fully clothed, or was that?
Well, tune in for the next podcast.
We just created some visualizations for people obviously banking. You could put it on the invite, couldn't you? You must turn up in your loincloth, for this drumming session.
Well, it's just permission. It might happen before my life.
It's interesting you said about that MTV thing, because what you're saying there is even in an organisation where you would say would be more on the creative, kind of funky, dynamic side, or whatever you want to call it. They were basically looking for permission to do what they all really wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, the permission had to be stronger for them because they had more to lose. It was a real lesson for me. I thought this is going to be easy, and like I was thinking, give me the French bankers any day. Not any day. Of course, I work with anybody, but it's upside down. All those things you think, because people say, do you only work with media companies? Media companies are the same. They think they're really cool. Their whole reputation, their whole self-esteem is on not blowing it, being fashionably late for meetings. They got their whole thing worked out. But if you say, okay, buddy, let's stand up and do this, they go, I'll do it when I'm ready. And I always say or the thing is, I'll do it when it gets good enough for me to join in. And I always say, if you're waiting for it to get better, it's not going to get any better than this. We're peaking right now. Join in.
So in terms of the future of what you see, you obviously we've now, been through a period of time where there's no kind of historic precedent to it. So are you encouraged by the reaction you're seeing from people that are engaging in this area now? Are you encouraged by that, or do you still think there's a way to go to unlock it?
I'm encouraged because I've worked because all my skills were taken away from me. When I set out to walk my talk, I really did, because I knew, give me any group and a pile of drums, I'll get them in rhythm and they'll be impressed. Amazing. Ka-ching. I get paid. Everyone says, beyond our expectations. Give me a group to sing in harmony. I'll get them singing in 50 minutes. And everyone will go, that's amazing. How did you do that? It's because I know it's in them. It's in them. All I've got to do is activate it. So, or give me a venue far away where they're not being watched by their families or their friends, and they'll take risks. So all those were taken away. We can't play in rhythm because of latency. Everyone's on mute, so we can't sing in harmony or anywhere. All their microphones are crap. And we're at home where the family's watching. So those three things gone. But I could have just sat down and written a book and said, I'll come back when the venue's open again. But I just thought, let me try it, because what are the outcomes that we need? We need to connect. We need to breathe more. We need to move more. We need to see our other colleagues or friends kind of move in, getting their hats, getting their shades on, kind of unleashing this, what we call discretionary effort in the business world, or flow, or you called it flow.
Yeah, the energy.
The energy. So we're going to change the energy providers from the BBC to our own heart, basically. And then they go, oh yeah, I'm glad I made the switch. It was a bit of a fuss, but yeah, great. Now I'm alive. So all I did was look at the outcomes. And I thought, well, my skills are useless. However, I am quite good at engaging people. That's one thing that I had left. I wonder if I can do it online. So this
has been an experiment for you then in the last.
Oh man, it's so painful. I mean, who wants to walk their own talk? Not me, But yeah, I had to do it, and so now, and the reason I'm encouraged is that they, we were talking about climate change earlier. They're now all the jumbo jets are being taken apart, I think, in the Nevada desert. We're not going to need big planes anymore. So the climate is, I was out on the streets drumming and facilitating groups for Extinction Rebellion, blocking the road at Morley.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and the government and the authorities said, yeah, a bunch of hippies, stop disrupting everybody's lives. How do you think we're going to take you seriously if Pauline can't get the work on the checkout at Debenhams? So that kind of didn't work to change the world. And it's as if the world was thinking, well, we gave you a chance, people. We have people all over the world telling you, in very colourful ways, things had to change, and very forceful ways, organised ways. And the governments wouldn't change. So here, have COVID, and now
it's like a reset, isn't it?
It's a reset. So then all our efforts on the streets to get them to take the jumbo jets apart, they're going, don't be foolish, you foolish people, let Pauline get to her checkout. So nobody's going to their checkout. Nobody's flying to the meeting. And the reason people used to fly the meetings in New York from London, they didn't want to make a mistake on Zoom. They didn't want to lose face, pressing the wrong button, or not being able to mute themselves. So everyone's had to learn the technology because of COVID. So our collective carbon footprint is going to go down. However, the good thing, and I know, and for anybody who's lost parents or relatives or husbands or wives, I'm not saying COVID has been a good thing. It's been a disastrous thing for 100,000 people in this country. And I know because, as I said, my mum died when I was 13. So I know there's a knock-on effect. It's not just 100,000. It's 500,000 people grieving at least.
Yeah, exactly.
Long-term grief. So I'm not saying COVID's good for that. But what I'm saying is it's delivered something that we needed, which was, like you said, to reset. And we can't say, I think I'll not be involved in this reset. I don't really believe in the reset. We are in the reset. So we need to stay connected. We've discovered ways to be connected, and we've discovered ways that are beyond what we had. So it's not only there's not any going back, but we have advantages now because, like I say, if I do 50 lawyers, I do a session for 50 lawyers. Now, normally they'd be at some very expensive gala dinner venue. Great, fair enough. But they're at home, their kids are joining in.
Yeah.
Their colleagues, 50 of the 49 of their colleagues are seeing, oh, I only ever saw your child in a photo before. Here you are dancing together. Oh, I didn't know you had 2 dogs. There you are dancing. Yeah. So the connections.
So it's actually the cultural impact of the organisations is not to be underestimated.
Not at all. I mean, who wants to go to another gala dinner themed as samba or themed as?
They're going to want to have drums everywhere they go now.
Yeah, everywhere. Well, wooden spoon. Just we can dance, we can play rhythms, all those things. At a venue in the country, I'll dance when I feel like it. But actually, I always said I'll catch up with George from Brazil because we've only ever known each other on email. Then they miss everything because they have all these private things that they've scheduled in. Sometimes I've ended a session and I said, shall I just leave the room open for you to have a chat? And they go, yeah, great. So, and then myself and my wife would go for a walk down the river, come back 2 hours later. They're still
on Zoom.
Still on Zoom. And they're talking about all sorts of personal stuff. So we've delivered that thing.
Fantastic.
When you go to a bar after an event and everyone stays up to 3 a.m., and then they get up at 6:30 in the morning. And business people do this. And they go to the gym, and then they arrive for PowerPoint, and there's a kind of machismo to it. Yeah, I can drink all night, not sleep, go to the gym, work out, go beyond my personal limit, and be here, focus. So they can do all that on Zoom now, but they can get some sleep. They don't have to buy each other drinks. They just drink whatever's in the house. There's no pressure to join in. You can just be drinking water, claiming it's vodka, and you're tough. So there's all these advantages to doing what we do on that, and you don't have to travel. There's no more business lounge nonsense. There's no. No.
It's actually. So what you're saying is there's a lot of rituals. Yeah.
Yeah,
that are basically being cut out of people's lives now because people are actually cutting it back to what really, really is important and what are the definite must-dos.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it's all in the heart. It's not who's going to share a cab. I'm not so sure. It's all it, and the amount of time. The amount. If you speak to any corporate group. In the bar, say, well, how are you feeling? Well, I'm missing my son. Normally I'd be tucking him up right now. No, I'm missing my daughter. I'm so missing that. I'm missing my, there's a birthday in the family. I'm missing it because I couldn't miss this conference. They can do both. And this can be part.
It also means that, touch wood, God forbid, as soon as we get to in a different place in the future, that actually people will have a better connection. And actually the physical get-togethers will be probably even more cherished by people.
Yeah, they're going to appreciate it so much. I mean, it'll be like that experience. I mean, my grand said the Blitz was the war, Second World War, was the worst time of our life and the best time of our life. And part of the reason it was the best time of our life is that they would come up from the underground and someone's house would have disappeared in their street. Just it got the bomb. So they wouldn't say, well, let's apply to the council to rehouse them. They'd say, right, well, Johnny gets on well with Glenn, so let's take them. He can come and stay in our spare room, or they can share a bedroom until you sort something out. So there'd be and that wasn't just one experience. That was my grand's everyday life for 4 years, for the length of the war. And so she
adapted, basically. That's what you said. People adapt. Humans adapt, and they adapt themselves. Yeah.
And that is the thing about crisis, is that we have two options. One is to go and hide and say, I'll protect myself. The other is to go, well, we're all in it. I mean, it's a curious thing that just Boris Johnson and his cronies keep saying we're all in this together, because we actually are all in this together. And they're using it as a kind of catchphrase, but also they've blamed us for COVID spreading rather than take the responsibility of the bad management for them. Because, anyway, you can cut that bit out. But I mean, we are all in it.
Thank you, Boris, for helping us through.
Yeah, that's right. I'm on the fence. He has his good points.
He doesn't have any Pioneer headphones on. Right?
No.
And he doesn't have a Pioneer deck in front of him.
No.
He's definitely on a different planet.
Yeah.
One thing I was asking about was I mean, given all that backdrop, is in 2021, what are you excited about? What are you really excited about at the moment? What's inspiring you and pushing you even further?
I'm really lousy at paperwork and opening the mail, and consequently, I missed a whole load of. I had a kind of Rockstar flat in central London. I missed some mortgage payments, and normally I would just send them the money and go, "Oh, sorry, I'm late." And they said, "No, it's happened too often, Mr. Morley. We're repossessing your flat." So they took the flat, sold it. All the equity went to different lawyers. But what it did was, I just thought, because I always thought that's my retirement money. I'll sell the flat. It cost me 35 grand when I bought it. It was worth 350. Anyway, they sold it, divided the money up themselves. So I ended up with nothing. So I started the year kind of 100 grand down, van burned, cost us 23 grand, 7 grand insurance money. So, the year didn't start so, 2000 didn't end so well. Now, I'm 40 grand up, and it's only January, because people like my work and they see there's value in it. So the rest of the year, what's that? 40 grand a month. What's that? I know you're asking for spiritual things, but I know I'm no good at money. Anyway, it's
probably. Do you want me to give you a calculator? Yeah, that's quite a lot of money. Yeah, if you multiply that by 12, yeah, it's quite a lot.
So I'm looking forward to that, and partly, it's not because I want to buy lots of stuff. It is that I want my wife to feel secure, because she has helped me through, a year-long depression when it looked like I was never going to get any better. It's 2000. Right. And she said, well, maybe we just have to scale down. She's got a tiny flat in the country, and we just thought maybe we had to go there. And she said, I'll just be your carer. And I really didn't want that to happen. So I'm glad I kind of got out of it.
This is Tom Morley 2.0, or is it 3.0?
Yeah. And I'm 66. I've lived a rock and roll life. I shouldn't even be standing up at 11 o'clock. My nurse come to see me.
We're supposed to say you're the Keith Richards of drumming.
Do you know what? I think I am.
There's a famous comedian in the US, Bill Hicks.
Yeah.
And he said, I was watching Keith Richards. He said, doing an impression. He said, I saw a light. I thought I was on. It was like, it's like basically. He said when he was in kind of analogy was inserting something into his eyeball. He thought he was on stage. He thought he was basically on stage. He was being called up to stage because there was a bright light.
I sometimes use Keith Richards as an example of, from Mihaly's book about flow. He says flow is found at the intersection of discipline and surrender. I say the groove is found at the crossroads of discipline and surrender, because it's customized, so I can charge more money. But it's basically the same thing. And I sometimes use Keith Richards as an example, because if you watch him, you think that guy has no discipline. He's just surrendered years ago. But he can be Keith. Go, oh, yeah, what, are we playing a gig? He's on stage and he's down.
Yeah, he's on it, isn't he? Yeah.
Spot on. I used to work with a branding company, and we used to use Nike a lot as an example of, their branding slogan on the T-shirts is "Just Do It," but their internal slogan, because they sponsored a lot of rebels in those days, when like John McEnroe, Michael Jordan, they're all people in the sports arena.
They're all kind of disruptors, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all disruptors, and so their internal strapline. I'm glad this isn't being broadcast, is irreverence justified. And Keith Richards has that. He's irreverent, but it's justified because when he gets on stage, he's spot on, right? No matter if he falls over as soon as the gig ends.
Yeah.
And
he's basically on it. He's on it, basically.
Yeah, and that whole thing with McEnroe, chalk dust, that he was famous for. When they watch the footage, yeah, he was right, So he was irreverent. He's the first person who ever argue with the umpire, on a professional high level.
Yeah.
But he was right. So I love that. I've actually bought the domain name Irreverence Justified, because that does personify what I do. Because if sometimes I'm at a conference and people would say, "Oh God, I would have taken annual leave if I'd have known. Look at this guy," and then they look, because they think I'm not going to be able to do anything. And then 15 minutes later, they're all drumming in, "Oh, you're my best friend. Oh, I love Scritti Politti. What was it like on the road?" It's like, so it's all justified because
it all comes out, basically.
Yes. Because I actually care about them. I want to activate them, and they think I'm not going to care about them at all, or I just, I don't know what they think, but anyway, it's justified because I get them somewhere that their PowerPoint about how to be a team or how to step out for your company.
How to behave.
How to behave. It didn't work. They didn't do the behaviour. Whereas I don't take any prisoners. I go, I don't care if you don't want to do it. We're going to do it. Sometimes I say, look, your boss has paid a lot of money for me to be here. Please don't be seen to throw his money away.
So given you are the second rock star I've had on the show, obviously James was the guitarist, you're the drummer. Maybe I've got to get a keyboard player or a singer next. Maybe I can talk to you about that later.
Yeah, I know. I'd get you, Steve Nye from Elvis Costello's band. He's a good. Okay. He'd do it.
Okay. Here we go. I'll have to find a keyboard backdrop then.
Yeah, I mean that guy Steve. I've sat in bars with him in New York, and people would come in. Can you do you know that ABBA song? And he can play anything, but he can play it in a way that sounds authentically ABBA or authentically Enya or something. He just drops into the zone. I mean, and he is also a really good example of irreverence justified and discipline and surrender, because he sure doesn't look like a guy who could do that. He looks too surrendered as well. But then when he gets down to it, he's got all the
focus,
all the discipline, and that. As far as getting people into their hearts, that's what I want them to go. What is my skill? How can I help the planet survive now? And how can I do it in flow? I don't want to make myself a big to-do list that I'll do resentfully. How can I do it in flow? And that is, and all my artist friends, it makes me laugh when they say artists should retrain in cyber. Cyber should retrain in the arts. That's
yes, exactly, to get the diversity of info.
We don't need any more code.
Well, normally I ask a certain question at the end, but I think you've kind of answered it. So, the thing about, how would you expect people to behave if you were giving that advice to your younger self? And it sounds like it's the Keith Richards and the Nike domain name that you already own. Is that a fair summary of what you would say for your or maybe something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Irreverence Justified speaks to me because of the justified. There's no point in just being a rebel. You know, you don't want to be a rebel without a cause. I would say, define your values, see what you stand for, and I would say that this to any group. If they said, "How can we liven up our Zoom meetings?" Stand up. And once you've stood up, adjust your cameras so we're not all looking up your nose. Adjust them so you're standing tall, right? And then say, what am I taking a stand for? And you can only come to value. It's not what are the company's values that you received in a PowerPoint. What are your values? Most people say things like family, honesty, compassion, trust. There's not a huge kind of, it's not
the basis of being human, yeah.
Yeah, basis of being human. If people go success, you can just go, that's not a value, mate. That's just determination. Well, determination in a way, but there'll be something below that, which is deeper.
Mm.
So get them to stand for their values, and then say, all right, so how do we behave? You can always link them to the company values. They're always very similar, actually, if you do that. So and in answer to your question about the irreverence or the rebel stance, sometimes standing for your values will require you to be a rebel, like Gandhi, like Nelson Mandela,
Yeah, you have to be an outlier. You have to make your own path.
Yeah, and you can have it easy. I've mentioned two men there. There's lots of women in history who've done that also. Rosa Parks didn't go to the back of the bus. Sounds quite small, doesn't it? It's massive. Someone had to do that. So she just took a stand. Ironically, she didn't take a stand. She stayed seated. But it's that, kind of.
I know what you're saying, Tom. I know what you're
saying. What's important to you, and that if you get out of bed with that rather than think, oh, I'm tired, where's the coffee? Yeah, sure. You can think that, but think what am I going to use the coffee for to fuel me to do what? And if you see someone being abused on the street, intervene, as long as you don't get beaten up. But, just do the right, be ready to do the right thing because you know what your values are. So it doesn't.
It sounds like be heart-centered as well. So
Yeah. Keep breathing, be heart-centered.
Breathe is always good. I recommend breathing. Yeah,
breathing's recommended. Yeah, especially.
Yeah. So just a quick final question, just to clarify. You right at the beginning of the episode, you actually said that when you started Scritti Politti, you didn't actually know how to play drums. Is that right?
That's right. I used to. It used to make me laugh, right? Because I'd read these reviews and say, Tom's obviously studied this jazz drummer or that drummer. Here the gaps he leaves. The gaps were because I couldn't play coordinated, so I'd have to kick the bass drum and then hit the snare and kick the bass. I couldn't do the two together. So I was reading these reviews saying what a genius I was, leaving all this space. It's because I couldn't play.
I just sort of clarify that for the audience because I actually had to do a double take when you said that, and I just thought I'd try and clarify that at the end of the episode.
I bought this kit because
everybody's going to start somewhere and then they'll learn it.
Yeah, my dad also was rubbish at paperwork, so I didn't fill in my final grant forms for art school. So the last term I lived on nothing, and then suddenly I got this check for the whole term at the end of term. So I bought a drum kit with it, but I couldn't play it. I tried, and then I decided to just learn the snare drum. So I just played the snare drum for a couple of weeks exclusively. I covered the rest of the kit up. Yeah, so just do it.
I think that's back to Nike again.
What that means, don't you?
Yeah, exactly. Back to Nike, back to Portland, Oregon.
It's justified.
Oh, there you go.
And here, if you look at the roots of Nike, how those trainers, it was Phil Knight watching his neighbour go jogging, who's quite old, late in his life. And he said, Phil, I think I'm going to have to give up because my knees are hurting too much. And he said, well, give me your training shoes. I've got an idea. And he went into his garage, got a waffle iron, maker.
Created the sole. Yeah.
Yeah, and he poured some rubber solution in, created the sole, stuck them to his shoes, cut around with a pair of scissors, and said, "Try that." And it worked. So the roots of Nike, given that you're not meant to pour rubber solution into a waffle iron, again, it was an irreverent thing, but it's justified in that, So,
the rest is history.
Yeah,
Tom Morley, all I can say to you is thank you so much for being on the show today.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
It's actually the first time we've actually had somebody who's played live drums and actually had a top hat on. apart from your other superpowers. So just finally, in terms of actually people wanting to get hold of you and know more about what you do and all these things that you're helping humans across the world to connect and to come out of their soul and unleash their creativity, how do people get hold of you?
If you were to type into Google Tom Morley drums or Tom Morley Rockstar, you'll get to my website. But the website is actually just tommorley.com. That's Morley, tommorley.com. And everything's there, all links to social media. But you'll find I'm a complete dopamine addict. So I'm around on social media all over the place. You can go to Facebook, look for me, LinkedIn, and I'm all over the place. I'm all over the net, as the young people say.
All over the place or all over the net?
Oh, that's true.
It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. And tell me. I know we've got a little project afterwards, but that's a secret for people that may see this later as we combine our creative juices, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it's been great warming up. Tell me when you're going to hit record, and I'll.
Oh damn! I didn't press it.
I'll do a proper interview.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the session today, Tom. and have a lovely day.
Great.
See you soon.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Oh, give us a bit of applause.